Good evening, guys, or good morning. In this event, we will start now. So, we will present about Garuda AWS Cloud Community, which is powered by AWS Educate. Uh, I'm going to the next slide, and here are our speakers today. Present Muhammad Altera as the president of Garuda AWS Cloud Community. And then we have Mr. Ahmad Imam Kitstijantoro, former head of Information System and Technology undergraduate program. We have Karl Matthias Moberg as Cloud and Infrastructure Consultant. And then we have Kirilo Vasilivskovs, which is the founder at SIA Philip. So without further notice, let's start with Sir Imam Kitstijantoro.
Test.
Okay.
Okay. So.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm glad to be invited here as the is it the inauguration of the Garuda Cloud Community, the community for cloud in Indonesia. As all of you know by now, I think cloud is getting bigger and bigger. And as a students, you must have a experience, because everything that usually be done with computers later on will be must be performed on cloud as well, because nowadays cloud becoming part of the tools that we can use every day, like utility, like whenever you need to do something, you can easily use the available resources online and use computation online, and more business will use cloud as well. So I'm glad that this community is initiated, and I hope you can join together and have experience, because the most important thing about cloud is practical experience. So if you have access to cloud, for example, the one that being given by AWS Educate, and you can try anything there, because every tutorial available online, you can just practice and experience yourself with the cloud, so we can become more fluent in using the cloud. So I think that's the beginning from my side. I give you back to you, Edward, Alexander. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Sir Imam, for giving the brief intro to cloud computing, and now we will start about thoughts on cloud computing.
All right. Can you all hear me?
Yes, I can hear you clearly.
All right. It's really good to be a part of this meeting. Let me introduce myself. My name is Muhammad Altera. I'm currently a third-year computer science student at Institute Teknologi Bandung. Hello, Mr. Imam. Mr. Imam here is my cloud professor and also my the one that taught me about distributed systems, and perhaps one of the most significant person that introduced me to cloud computing. So here I'm here representing Indonesia as the AWS Educate student ambassador, and after this we will just have fun with the entire seminar, and we'll just do a little sharing session between me and a couple other people joining here. In order to do that, I'm being assisted with a couple of fellow ambassadors. I think he's already here, and I think Kirilo is already here. Is a cloud consultant. he's a very experienced cloud user. He is from Norway. He is a skilled man. I would say that he is a very skilled man.
Hello.
Carl, introduce yourself a little bit.
Thank you for that introduction, and thank you for the invitation. I'm not sure if I would say extremely experienced, but I have worked with cloud computing now for a couple of years. Like Muhammad said, my name is Carl. I'm a cloud consultant with Tieto Every, which is a cloud consultancy firm in the Nordic countries. I specialize in AWS, but I also work with Azure and Google Cloud. But I typically specialize in AWS.
Okay. Well, it's good to hear that. That's one of my fellow ambassadors that will help me today. I would also like to introduce Cirillo. Cirillo, are you here?
Yep, I am here. Hi, guys.
Hello. He's the founder of SIAV Labs, and I'm pretty sure he is also quite knowledgeable in the field of cloud computing. Cirillo, why don't you introduce yourself a little bit?
Actually, my main field of expertise is not cloud computing. It's more of traditional hosting services. But as a representative of hosting industry, I kind of understand how cloud works, which benefits does it provide compared to traditional bare metal and virtual servers, which advantages does it give in terms of safety, in terms of data protection, in terms of ability to scale, ability to recover your solutions. And that's really amazing, I must admit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, cloud computing has revolutionized a lot of things in our lives. We've seen that cloud computing has literally transformed computing into, well, as Mr. Imam once told me in one of his classes, cloud computing has transformed it into a form of public utility, which I think is just amazing. And also a little update for you guys that are watching. If you guys want to ask any questions, you can just type it in the chat. We will address it later. We will definitely address it later. Just questions about cloud computing, programming, or just anything. But mostly focused on Garuda Cloud Community and cloud computing. Okay, now let's all begin the panel with a little bit of a beginning topic. So, as you may have all wondered, what was our first exposure to cloud computing? I mean, sure, we are now, quite knowledgeable in, as you may say, like, quote unquote, quite knowledgeable in cloud computing knowledge right now. But what were our first exposure to cloud computing? I'm gonna start it off myself, okay? So my first exposure to cloud computing is, well, to be quite honest, it is actually my father. My father, who mentioned a lot about cloud computing, how it is the future, and how a lot of people with knowledge on cloud computing will be paid a lot of money if they started a career in cloud computing. Of course, I mean, as parents, they would want what's best for their children. And, cloud computing is definitely one of the ways to get there. How about you, Carl? What's your first exposure to cloud computing?
I was kind of thrown in at the deep end. I briefly touched on some minor cloud providers, VPS providers and stuff over the years. But I got an opportunity to be hired as a systems manager at my last firm a couple of years ago. And they were running e-commerce software. They were running online stores in AWS. I had zero experience. I'd never touched it. I had very little Linux experience as well. So things were interesting to get started, to say the least. But I dug in. I started with one of the older certification books to get a brief introduction. I hated it. It was not great because it was very poorly written.
Okay. Did you? So I would say that you earned most of your knowledge not from books.
No. A lot of knowledge now is from books. A lot of knowledge is from online teaching providers. I sat the AWS Certified Developer exam today, just 2 hours ago. And most of my knowledge from that came from the certification book, which is like 900 pages, and I have it behind me, and A Cloud Guru, which is one of the larger training providers. They provide some excellent video materials. So,
Okay.
Well, I would like to, get one of those links maybe, and pass them to
yeah,
you.
no, absolutely. I'll get to that. A Cloud Guru is like I said, one of the bigger ones, and there are a bunch of others, but I really like the way A Cloud Guru does it.
Okay. Very, very insightful. I would say it is very great hearing from you, Carl. What about you, Kirilo? What was your first exposure to cloud computing?
Well, I guess our real first exposures were unconscious when we were utilizing services and we didn't even know they use cloud computing, and it was just working. Like virtually, I guess any one of us uses Gmail and tell me it's not cloud computing. It's just we started using it much earlier. We even thought, how does thing work? But my first experience doing something with Amazon was when I was working in a startup some around 5-6 years ago. Well, I wasn't really doing something. I didn't really have to configure something. It was done by other people, but that's when I was utilizing multiple AWS services when I was deploying my code. That was EC2 instance, obviously. So it was virtual machine, it was database, it had it was using message delivery service from Amazon. So that was a nice tool set provided by Amazon that the startup used, and it was super convenient. It was scalable, it was reliable enough. So I guess that was my first exposure as a user. As a developer, well, I sometimes have to do small tasks related to that, but mainly for me, it's more of a sandbox mode for now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm just playing around, hosting. Yeah, hosting some. Well, actually, I still need to migrate that some pet project from traditional virtual server to Amazon. Yeah, kind of it.
It's interesting to note that you are a traditional hosting user beforehand. Does it surprise you how how cloud computing, how easy it is to do those kind of things with cloud computing? Or what are your thoughts about it?
Something surprises you if it just happens and you never try to understand how does it work. But there is an old saying that a good programmer has to be a little bit lazy. That's how all the automation happens. And of course, a good programmer wants to be able to restore things easily, to migrate things easily, to scale up things easily. And Amazon and Google, they started their cloud services as an internal product because Amazon was growing their big store. Google was growing their search engine, and they had to solve their problems for themselves at first. And it just later on they realized that, oh, we can also sell our solutions. But yeah, I cannot say I'm surprised. I am just thankful for people who spent their effort to develop this and to make it available for a broad variety of other consumers.
That is quite true. Carello and Carl, I would like to ask for your permission to speak a little bit of Indonesian for a bit. You know, just to address Indonesian attendance here. Oke, jadi teman-teman yang sudah diceritakan oleh Kirilo dan Carl itu sudah sangat jelas ya. Mereka juga pada awal mengenali cloud computing itu tidak langsung menjadi pakar. Tentu saja Kirilo memang sudah ada pengalaman di hosting yang standar, hosting yang klasik yang belum menggunakan cloud computing. Dan memang Kirilo sendiri sangat berterima kasih kalau misalnya ada sekarang itu sudah ada teknologi cloud yang mempermudah tadinya proses hosting yang sangat rumit. Lalu ada dan kalau misalnya ada orang-orang yang terintimidasi kayak konsep cloud computing itu sepertinya adalah suatu hal yang sangat rumit. Ya kita lihat saja tadi Carl sudah bercerita kalau misalnya dia itu sekarang adalah cloud konsultan, seorang konsultan cloud, tapi dia awalnya memulai dengan tidak memiliki pengetahuan background apapun tentang cloud computing. Jadi tentu saja apabila orang itu ingin mencoba untuk mendalami cloud computing tidak pernah terlambat. Orang pasti bisa mendalaminya mulai dari titik kapanpun. Bapak Imam mungkin ingin menambahkan sedikit tentang pengalaman Bapak pertama kali menemukan cloud computing.
Okay. Maybe the first time I use cloud, interested in cloud is when I read something about OpenStack several years ago. I haven't have access to AWS or Azure or Google Cloud at the moment, but that's only for labs or for practicing on premise. I mean, in the lab. I have the first real practical experience is about 2 years ago when I helped Prosa.ai, one of the AI companies in Indonesia. So most of their deployments using cloud. So at that time, I have a real practical problems and learning curve. We are using both AWS and Azure. I think three. We use AWS, we use Azure, and we use also Google Cloud as well. So it's since AWS is the first one of the cloud provider, and they have the most features, I think, from API gateway, the most complete features. But you have to design your applications to be not dependent only on provider, because it's not good to be dependent on one product. Okay, that's just for experience in cloud.
I do agree with that, Mr. Imam. Okay, Edward.
Okay.
All right. Now the second topic also, the second topic, of course, maybe all of these people, some of these people who attended this event already know what cloud computing is, but they found it hard to like find the pull in it. Other than money, they don't really know what is interesting about cloud computing. So I would like to invite Carl and of course Kirilo again. Would you like to share a little bit about what really pulls you into cloud computing?
I can talk for myself. The scalability and flexibility and the ability to spin up servers in seconds is really, really interesting. I come from a background previously where I've worked a bit with VMware, and yes, it's nice to be able to spin up a virtual machine on a server somewhere, but you always have to worry about capacity, and especially if it's a low-powered server. With cloud, you don't have to worry. You can spin up something in a second, and you don't have to worry anymore. Especially with AWS, they provide an excellent free tier for new accounts for 1 year, allowing you to run basically whatever you want for a year and just test things out. There are limits, of course, and there are restrictions on what you can do, but you can spin up an entire cluster of 10 servers if you want for a test for a day, and it won't cost you anything. It's super, super cool. And it's most definitely the future where things are moving. We'll be moving to cloud in some form or another. So it's just getting on the bandwagon early.
Yeah, it's very good to get to the bandwagon early. Everything will start in cloud. Cirillo, what really pulls you into cloud computing?
Mainly the same things, and also reliability, especially the way how big players, major players did that. I will give an example. A story that happened some maybe 10 years ago with one of real hosting providers in Ukraine. They had a fire in the data center, like really huge fire, and people were hosting their websites, hosting their services, and for some reason fire system didn't work well, and some more than 1,000 of servers were damaged beyond recover. With all the hard drives, with all the data, with all the everything. And some people just didn't have backups. As some system administrators joke, there are two kinds of people, the one who doesn't do backups and the ones who already does. So when you lose data, that's painful. But that teaches you something. And some people were educated enough that they had to do backup, but they had a separate backup server in the same data center. which totally didn't help, unfortunately for them. And people were losing work of few years. Like they were working on some website for a few years, raising a portal, and then all the database, well, probably code base is restorable, but all the database with users, with posts, with whatever else was just lost forever. And for some of people, that was a major disaster. And I kind of understand how cloud technologies in major players address this problem. And I understand even if some explosion or flooding or whatever happens in one data center, unless the other planet stays intact, there is a high chance that your data will survive. Because they separate your data not just between servers, but between regions, between different physical locations, and that really increases sustainability of your service and survivability of your projects.
Yeah, I do agree with that. Jadi teman-teman, seperti yang sudah diungkapkan oleh Cirillo dan Carlo. Memang kalau misalnya kita membicarakan tentang cloud computing, dan cloud computing itu kan kayak kalau misalnya kita memikirkan secara, mungkin kalau sekarang kita tidak terlalu terbayang ya, tapi cloud computing itu secara in a nutshell-nya itu seperti kita menggunakan komputer yang sudah infrastruktur data, sistem storage data dan lain sebagainya yang sudah disediakan oleh penyedia infrastruktur yang sudah memiliki reputasi tinggi, sepertinya contohnya Amazon atau Google atau Microsoft. Jadi seolah-olah data kita itu disimpan oleh pakar-pakar penyimpan data ini, itu adalah Amazon, Microsoft, dan Google. Poin yang sangat bagus sekali tadi diceritakan oleh Kirilo, bahwa ada kalau misalnya mungkin di sini ada yang memang tidak ada yang belum pernah memprogram, tetapi mungkin kalian akan berpikir untuk membuat suatu website. Kalau misalnya website kalian itu disetor di suatu server web yang tidak menggunakan cloud computing, yang tidak terdistribusi, tapi masih standar-standar saja, di-store di suatu lokasi, peluang kalau misalnya daerah tersebut terkena bencana dan data kalian hilang itu sangat tinggi. Jadi kerugian kalian karena web server kalian itu runtuh itu akan sangat berat untuk ditanggung. Jadi cloud computing itu meningkatkan availability. Mungkin kalau misalnya mau lanjut mengerti tentang detail-detailnya, ya bisa dibaca-baca lagi juga detail tentang cloud computing, banyak sekali itu referensi-referensinya online, dan juga ya bisa dipelajari lebih lanjut. Kayak cloud computing itu sangat membantu kehidupan kita. Now, of course, we reach perhaps one of the most important points of this meeting. A lot of people here, obviously, maybe some of the people joining this event are experienced, but I do bet that a lot of the majority of us don't have significant experience in improving our skills. So I'd like to ask Carl and Carrillo, and maybe also Mr. Imam, how did you learn cloud computing? Like, what resources did you use, and what methods best work for you in learning cloud computing? Carl, maybe you can start things off.
Yeah, sure. I have used a mix of things. I've used the AWS certified study guides. It's this thing. It's like I said, it's 900 some pages. It's gigantic for the certified developer. However, in addition to that, AWS provides white papers. They're not very long. They're 30, 40, 50-ish pages on subjects. They have something like we have the security best practices, which is a white paper that explains in great detail how things can be designed in a good way to optimize for cloud. These are, especially if you're considering doing any of the AWS certifications, the white papers are worth a lot of points. A lot of the questions that they ask you are straight out of these white papers. But if you don't necessarily enjoy reading, or if you don't, if you're learning by reading isn't your best thing, like I mentioned earlier, there are multiple video or training providers to provide video services. AWS has some. I'm not that big of a fan, but some vendors like A Cloud Guru, like I mentioned earlier, are specialized in AWS and Azure and cloud, and provide some excellent tutorials and guides on how to learn. And the last thing is just try it out, honestly. Unfortunately, you can read a lot, you can watch a lot of videos, but if you don't try it out and practice, it's really, really hard to actually understand how this works. And like I mentioned, the AWS free tier allows you to try most things, and it won't cost you anything.
It kind of reminds me of, AWS also provides the AWS Educate starter account as well for people, right?
Yeah. Correct. Yes. Correct.
I do think there are limits to the resources available.
There are the AWS Educate accounts. Yes, they're not full accounts. There are some limits on services, especially user management and things like this is limited, I think. However, if I remember correctly, you can also just get a straight up $100 voucher for a lot of things. If you go to the AWS Educate pages and complete some of the training that they provide, you get $100 credit that you can apply to a real account, and then you can try out features that are not covered by free tier as well.
Yeah, that is a very great point to bring up, because AWS Educate is a very, very great tool to learn. I would say that I owe a lot to AWS Educate. I basically play around in the cloud with AWS Educate. Even when I study in my cloud computing class with Mr. Imam, I was also given a AWS Educate account. Yeah, that's really good. It is very helpful. Thank you, Carl. Kirello, how did you learn about cloud computing? Like, how did you transition, from this?
Well, mainly I had some specific task to solve, and I was just figuring out how to do stuff in the scope of my task. But that's not really the best way to learn things, because it gives you really limited knowledge. So, but yeah, if someone wants to get some systematized knowledge on any topic, just go online. There is such a lot of different resources. Not all of them are good, but there are different education platforms like Coursera, like EDX, like Udemy, like Udacity. Sometimes they create courses together with major players included, with Amazon, with Google. There are training resources provided by cloud providers themselves. The same AWS Educate, they have this career paths opportunities. I don't know if you were planning to touch it later on, or where they give some 30 to 40 hours course dedicated to certain topic, not really about AWS itself, but how can you achieve certain industry and how can you learn certain skills together with AWS. So that would be. Sorry?
Do you think that your experience in standard hosting, the old-fashioned hosting, helps you understand cloud computing more?
Well, my experience in hosting and my experience in programming helps because the idea is more or less the same. It's just the tool set that becomes more convenient. That's also some kind of server with Linux command line where you can pull some code from Git and spin up some application or set up a database or whatever. It's just the way how it is created, the way how it is managed, the way how it is built, because traditional hosting is more normally built at least monthly or yearly. But with cloud providers, you are basically billed hourly, minutely. So if you need to run few more machines just for your expected overload, or like, I don't know, you expect a lot of visitors will be coming, you can spin up few of them, wait for a day till the load decreases, turn them off, and pay for that one day instead of entire month, which is also pretty much convenient.
All right. Okay, thank you, Kirello. That is a very helpful sources to learn, teman-teman. Jadi memang kayak kalau misalnya dari tadi Carl udah bilang kalau misalnya source yang paling efektif ya memang praktek ya. Jadi praktek itu sangat penting. Kirello juga sudah bilang kalau misalnya knowledge in kayak pengetahuan dalam standar programming atau tentang hosting kayak kalau misalnya kalian sudah pernah melakukan hosting website itu pasti sangat membantu, dan juga programming pada dasarnya. Tapi menurut saya yang paling ilmu, karena ini adalah suatu ilmu, menurut saya yang paling penting adalah opini Bapak Imam, karena Pak Imam sebagai dosen saya. Pak Imam, bagaimana pendapat Bapak kalau misalnya saya ini ingin mempelajari cloud computing? Bapak tidak apa-apa Pak untuk bahasa Indonesia saja, nanti takutnya tidak dapat teman-teman
Oke.
saya.
Ya, ya benar ya, yang namanya cloud itu sebetulnya mudah, karena kan sama aja kita belajar komputer. Belajar komputer itu kan sebetulnya nggak perlu kursus, bisa gitu, otomatis karena perlu. Nah, cloud juga pada saat kita perlu nanti ya perlu waktu untuk belajar, iya gitu, tapi baca buku banyak ya nggak bisa-bisa gitu, mesti praktek. Masalah di cloud itu kan kalau praktek mesti bayar, mesti, ya untungnya beberapa provider kayak AWS atau Google Cloud atau Azure, mereka ngasih free tier atau ngasih pas kita register kita bisa dapat kredit berapa $100 atau $300 untuk praktis. Cuma sayangnya ya kredit ini biasanya cuma setahun, jadi mesti dimanfaatkan benar. Tapi buat mereka yang di kampus itu kan ada AWS Educate, itu ya kesempatan besar sih untuk bisa dapat akses ke cloud yang dapat free tier-nya. Nah, untuk praktek gimana caranya ya tadi udah disampaikan, di AWS itu tutorialnya banyak gitu. Jadi baca dokumentasi di AWS, dicobain, itu udah bisa jagoan lah gitu, asal kita memang tekun dan memang iya tekadnya kuat ya, karena kan mungkin orang kalau nggak ada tujuan tadi seperti yang disebutkan sama siapa satu lagi tuh, lebih enak kalau kita punya goal. Jadi kalau memang udah punya problem, kita coba solve, di situ baru kerasa gitu. Misalnya tiba-tiba kita pasang website di cloud, kemudian ternyata tiba-tiba usernya tambah banyak gitu. Gimana caranya supaya bisa scaling gitu, atau cost-nya besar gitu. Gimana caranya supaya bisa murah? Apa yang harus kita pakai, atau ya teknik-teknik yang seperti itu biasanya munculnya karena kita punya masalah. Tapi first time-nya memang ya coba tutorial, lihat-lihat fiturnya apa, ininya apa gitu, baru setelah itu berangkat dari problem. Mungkin itu sih.
Ya, benar sekali. Tadi sesuai mirip seperti yang dikatakan oleh Kiril, memang permasalahan yang pertama yang membuat saya pertama kali benar-benar menekuni cloud computing itu karena ada munculnya masalah. Jadi ada munculnya masalah, saya tidak tahu bagaimana solve-nya, dan saya dengar dari teman, waktu itu kalau tidak salah saya mencoba untuk menjalankan aplikasi OpenGL. OpenGL-nya saya waktu itu OS-nya Windows, dan saya tidak memiliki, maksudnya kalau misalnya saya ingin menginstall OS Linux, mungkin waktunya cukup lama ya. Jadi saya akhirnya lari ke AWS lalu saya install OS Linux. Saya jalankan dan ternyata bisa. Dan menurut saya itu membuka matanya bahwa cloud computing itu adalah salah satu gerbang ke masa depan yang sangat hebat. Just press next. Yes, again. All right. Now this is a bit of a battle zone here. Cloud providers, people have their preferences. But since we're let's just stop all the bias, because let's just remove the mindset that we're supported by AWS. But let's just compare them objectively from users such as myself, Mr. Imam, Carl, and Kirillo. Which do you think is the best for newbies to learn, Carl?
Depends on your experience, to be honest. If you have a lot of experience with Microsoft, Azure isn't that difficult. With that said, if you just learn the basics of cloud, the three different providers just have different names for the same services. If you learn one of them, the shift to one of the others is not very hard. In my opinion, I think Azure is a bit more complicated in the way they're set up. compared to AWS and Google. With that said, I use them. I use them all. I have customers that have projects that utilize all three of them in one project. Examples of that are they use AWS for most of their processing. They use Azure for all the identity, so Azure Active Directory, for all of AWS. So they're signing into AWS with their Windows credentials or Azure credentials. And they're using Google Cloud's App Engine to publish applications for mobile. So there are definitely they have all of three of them have benefits and downsides. Google are excellent at Kubernetes. If you're looking into Docker and Kubernetes, Google developed it. They're running it very well. But yeah, there are downsides to everything. I prefer the interface of AWS, but that's a personal preference because I've used it the most, I guess.
And also because we're sponsored by AWS. No, just kidding.
well.
Just kidding. All right, that's a very good input. That is also very true. Very true. I recently actually attended a training to use Azure, and I found it they're actually very similar between Azure and AWS. Probably a couple of terms might be different. For example, in AWS we use EC2, and Azure we use virtual machines, Active Directories. I think in AWS there's also an equivalent to that. So they're just the same stuff renamed a little bit. Of course, like Carl has said before, and also Mr. Imam has said this before, that in our real world application we will probably just use the combination of the three. Kirillo, which one do you think is the friendliest to new users?
Unlike Carl, I don't have that much experience of trying them all. But yeah, generally the idea is the concepts that lay below all of them are pretty much similar, and it's more of about implementation of the concepts. And once you learn all, I haven't seen some courses like Google Cloud for AWS specialists that is provided by Google itself. So once you learn one, it's easier to migrate. So start with whatever provides the best learning opportunities. And then, one more way is to check your job market.
Right. That is.
Just go to the website with job ads, search for AWS, search for Google Cloud, search for Azure, and decide from that perspective which one will benefit you in the future. But generally, it's more about understanding how things work and how can you combine them together. And the platform, select what you prefer.
Right. Ya, jadi teman-teman kalau misalnya sekarang kalian pada dengar kalau misalnya cloud provider itu kan banyak sekali ya. Bahkan ada yang kita dengar itu adalah yang baru ada Alibaba. Saya tidak tahu apakah itu baru atau itu memang sudah lama, tapi memang ada Alibaba Cloud juga. Itu juga selain dari tiga ini. Tapi yang internationally known memang ya yang paling familiar ini adalah mereka bertiga ya. Azure, Google, dan AWS. Apakah saya harus menguasai tiga-tiganya? Well, sebenarnya kalau menurut saya ya, saya itu mengenal cloud teknologi itu dari AWS. Jujur saya pertama kali menggunakan cloud teknologi itu dengan AWS. Kalau misalnya Anda familiar dengan mempelajari programming language, ini mirip seperti migrasi antara programming language sebenarnya. Jadi kayak idenya itu sebenarnya sama. tentu saja memang kalau misalnya kita membicarakan programming language ya ada paradigma dan lain sebagainya, tapi sebenarnya paradigmanya kalau misalnya kita banding-bandingkan menurut saya mirip-mirip semua ya. Hanya label-labelnya saja yang berbeda dan ada karena mereka adalah sepertinya kayak quote unquote bisnis juga. Jadi eh, ada metode, ada mungkin proses bisnis yang kalian miliki yang akan lebih cocok ke salah satu dari tiga ini gitu. Jadi apakah berarti kalau misalnya saya mulai mempelajari AWS, nanti saya akan ketinggalan di Azure atau Google Cloud? Menurut saya tidak ya. Menurut saya tidak, karena pasti akan jauh sangat cepat untuk mempelajari Azure dan juga Google Cloud. Tapi tentu saja saya bukan, menurut saya masih di bawah Pak Imam, karena Pak Imam yang mengajari saya tentang cloud. Pak Imam, menurut Bapak bagaimana tentang provider cloud jika dibandingkan?
Iya sama aja menurut saya ya. Kalau dari sama aja kayak kita pakai Windows, pakai MacBook atau pakai Linux gitu. Jadi di interface-nya, di cara pemakaiannya mungkin beda. Memang dari sisi fitur ada yang duluan, ada yang belakangan baru tersedia gitu. Jadi beda-bedanya di sana. Yang familiar sama Microsoft product mungkin di Azure, meskipun Azure itu sebetulnya ya cloud juga gitu. Kita banyak pakai Linux di Azure juga sebetulnya. Tapi karena dia pakai Active Directory lebih mudah buat company yang basisnya ke Microsoft. Tapi tadi benar yang dibilang Kiril kalau nggak salah ya. Jadi bergantung pasar juga. Kalau mau targetingnya apa sih, itu yang kita pelajarin dulu. Toh belajar kita udah jago di AWS, belajar ke Azure itu cepat harusnya, ke GCP.
Benar sekali. Jujur saya juga waktu pertama kali ikut pelatihan, kan waktu itu saya sudah cukup mengenal AWS. Dan saya ikut pelatihan Azure, memang banyak sekali hal yang mirip, hanya diberi label yang berbeda. All right. Of course, since we are forming an Indonesian cloud community, it is very, I will not be, this will be just to clarify, I will not be a student ambassador forever. There will need to be people that is going to succeed me in the next, in the next year when I'm no longer an ambassador. And, it is actually quite surprising. Well, I don't know if it's surprising, but I am surprised that I realized that Indonesian student ambassador, there's only one Indonesian student ambassador, and that's only me. I expected more people to be student ambassadors because this is a very good opportunity, and since becoming a student ambassador will definitely open up this communication link between AWS and this community. I really want in the future, when I no longer become a student ambassador, I want people who will join to also participate and try to be a student ambassador. So we're gonna be talking about it a little bit. Edward?
Okay.
So, of course, let's start from the obvious questions. Why did you decide to become an ambassador? Why did I decide to become an ambassador? Well, it is simply because, I don't know, here's the thing. I want to become an ambassador because of what I feel like I owe a lot to AWS and cloud computing. Sure, it sounds a bit weird that I owe cloud computing something, but I do owe it. I technically won't pass one of my classes if I didn't have access to cloud computing. So I feel like I need to spread that word. I feel like the number of people who are limited by their abilities to run certain specific OS or specific infrastructure to realize their dreams is not little. There's a lot of people who cannot realize their dream company or dream websites because they simply don't have access to the right infrastructure or platform. And I want to tell those people that you don't have to provide your own infrastructure or platform. There are services like AWS, GCP, and Azure. So I really want to spread that word. What about you, Carl? What makes you want to be a ambassador?
It sounded like an interesting program. I already help organize communities like yours over here in my local city. It's not necessarily directly an AWS specialized one, but we organize for students a cloud native organization, moving or introducing people to cloud native solutions such as AWS's Lambda and other functions that make things work better in the cloud. So it was a cool opportunity to be a part of the student ambassador program, to reach out to other students like yourself and participate in these kinds of discussions and learning from others. And I most definitely have. I've spoken now with student ambassadors and have had discussions with other students around the world. So it's very, very interesting and very fun.
Right, and also one of the perks of being an ambassador is being able to invite people like you into this meeting. You're a great person. I don't know. I have never met a cloud expert. I don't know. I have never talked with someone who's actually except Mr. Imam, of course. It's very great. It's very great to meet you, Carl. Carola, why did you want to be? Why did you decide to become an ambassador?
Well, obviously, freebies, swag, and perks. Just kidding.
Oh yeah, by the way, if you became an ambassador, you will get freebies and perks and credits and stuff like that. Well, of course, recognition.
Yeah, of course, that's not the reason. I have a couple of reasons. One is even though our curriculum at the university is quite up to date, I wanted to make it even up to date, let's say, even though there is no such English word. And also, I wanted to apply learning by teaching approach to myself because I'm interested to learn this stuff. Unlike Carl, I'm just on the early stages of learning all this big set of technologies. And one of the effective ways to learn something is to start teaching it. And you are forced to do something because otherwise you have tons of other studies to do, projects to finish, you have work, you have this, you have that. But when you start teaching people, you are forced to understand things better. And of course, AWS provides some trainings that's also beneficial because you can get some information directly from their employees, which is cool.
Yeah. So yeah. About the press next. Edward. So yeah, I think we're just gonna be talking these 2 points. I feel like these 2 points are answered at the same time. Jadi teman-teman kayak kalau misalnya kan ini mungkin ada yang masih tingkat 2 atau mau ke tingkat 3 atau masih ada yang tingkat 1 mau ke tingkat 2 dan lain sebagainya. Jadi kalau misalnya kalian nanti akan menjadi student ambassador itu banyak sekali perks-nya. Ya memang ini cukup mengagetkan ya kalau misalnya Indonesia masih baru 1 yang bisa jadi ambassador. Yang saya tahu itu India bisa sampai bisa mengirimkan berapa ya? Lebih dari 20 orang. Carl, how many people are from India that become ambassadors? Do you have the number?
In India? I don't know, but in Norway there's only one, and that's me.
Indonesia.
Well,
yep.
I was estimating, I don't remember the specific number, but I think it was something like 23% of all student ambassadors are from India.
There are a lot of student ambassadors from India, yes.
Grillo,
As
how
for
many?
me, I am the only one from 3 countries, my country and 2 neighboring ones. So
Oh my!
it's really unequal around the world so far.
Isn't it a bit too concentrated from India? Oh my god! No offense to, no offense to our Indian friends, of course. They are just great people, of course. Well, aku pengennya nanti kalau misalnya di masa depan, mungkin kalau misalnya nanti yang tingkat 2 atau tingkat 1 naik ke tingkat selanjutnya dan nanti akan ada program lagi. Karena memang Student Ambassador ini adalah program pertamanya AWS. Ini adalah program pertamanya yang diselenggarakan oleh AWS dan nanti kalau misalnya di tahun-tahun depan akan ada Student Ambassador lagi, saya ingin orang-orang yang nanti berpartisipasi akan mencoba untuk menjadi Student Ambassador. Karena tadi ya benefitnya sudah dijelaskan banyak sekali. Networking dengan staff, international networking, kredit-kredit juga, souvenir, banyak sekali lah benefit yang nanti kalian akan dapatkan seandainya Anda masuk menjadi Student Ambassador AWS Educate. Okay, so now, of course, we're going to do a little bit of fun stuff, you know. Now, you might be wondering, what is my first AWS project? Well, I did say that about the OpenGL thing, but what I am most proud of, I guess, it's about Minecraft. So at one time, I knew someone online. And I want to play Minecraft with him. I don't know. The gender is not important, but I want to play Minecraft with him. And all I can think of is to play on a public server at that time. And I realized how, it's inconvenient if we just play in a public server. And so I thought, what if I just organize a private server? And I honestly think about a lot of ways doing it. Like I thought about exposing my private IP online and then just inviting the person so that they can connect to my IP, which is not great because my internet is not stable. And then I heard from a friend, he's also a cloud community member, Aditya, I think he's in the chat right now, that he used AWS to host a Minecraft server. Sure, it doesn't sound like a very technical thing to do, like, it's just starting a Minecraft server in AWS, but it is actually one of the very fun things that you can do with AWS. Like, it doesn't have to be too serious. AWS, when you want to try out AWS, you can start out from stuff like this. Just start your own private Minecraft server, and you can actually play it by inviting people, privately. It is very fun to do, and it's actually quite easy. And I would say that will really introduce you to what EC2 is. EC2 Elastic Cloud Computing. You should try it. You should definitely try it. Edward. There is also I also tried out. So here's the thing with the internet, Carl and Carolo. The internet situation in Indonesia is a bit restrictive in a way. So, sometimes I would like to just, I don't know, like browse some stuff. I want to browse stuff and I want to keep myself anonymous. And so I thought, okay, what if I tried, usually I would just try using an already available OpenVPN server. But then I thought to myself, what if I could just start my own OpenVPN server and use AWS internet connection, since it's very quick, it's very fast. Usually when you're using a public VPN server, it's very slow because a lot of people are using it. If I have my own personal private OpenVPN server, it's going to be very quick and my browsing will be private. And it is actually very easy to do. I tried this out and it is actually working. It is actually a very fun project to test out, and you could definitely just have fun with it. It's a very fun thing to do. I would, however, recommend that you just choose the OpenVPN access server rather than organizing it from just the Linux shell. Recently, aside from those, those projects might not sound too programmatic. I have also dabbled with something that is more technical. I don't know if you have, I don't know if you guys in the audience have heard of this, but there's something in the database called always on high availability database, and it is usually requiring it usually requires multiple computers because it involves failover clusters. And if you are trying to do failover clusters with just plain computers, you're not going to be able to do it. I think it will be very difficult. I don't know, but I have never tried it, with actual physical computers. I tried it with AWS, and there's a very easy to follow tutorial, and I managed to do it. And always on high availability databases are important if you want to keep your websites running 24/7. So these are fun projects that I have tried out, and you could definitely just try them out as well. Carl, maybe you have something, an easy to follow project that you want to share with us.
I'll be brutally honest and say I haven't actually done these kinds of projects in AWS in quite some time. When I started out, I used a bunch of just straight up tutorials because AWS publish a lot of tutorials on how to do things for a lot of things, and they're honestly super easy to follow, just step by step. Yeah. Right now, I'm working on two fairly big projects. One is just an easy migration. We're migrating a customer that has been using traditional servers. We're moving their entire company to AWS. Mm-hmm. And from what I heard, even though we're consultants and we're charging a lot of money per hour to do this, they said that the charges that would occur if we're not done by June 30th is going to be so much higher than we can ever charge them per hour. So apparently it's important to them. The other project is actually a bit more fun in another way. It's a more interesting project. We're doing a big data project, and for those that don't necessarily know what big data is, we're talking about gigantic sets of information. We're talking for this customer in general, we're planning for about 1 petabyte or 2 petabytes of data that needs to be processed per year. What they're doing is that it's a government project for small subset of the government that they want to do analysis on all business transactions to easier detect fraud and try and detect money laundering. So we're processing literally millions and millions and millions of transactions per day.
Okay.
So we're not done with it. We're in the architecting project stages still, and we're testing out. And we have a couple of very good data scientists, so I don't have to worry about how to actually write the algorithms for this, because it involves a lot of personal data, a lot of sensitive data. So we need to make sure that we clean out all the data and just have the overall analysis of how money is being spent to begin with, just by the government itself. Mm-hmm. And we'll see what happens. But.
All right. Okay. I wish you luck, Carl. Hope you get it all done. It sounds like a very interesting project, dude. The cloud.
Yeah, it really is, and it's really something that you really can't do without the cloud. It's going to end up costing them. Like, we're talking hundreds of thousands of dollars just in storage probably per month, because when we're talking about that much data, it's incredibly expensive to store. But you wouldn't be able to run the processing, like counting all or comparing all this data wouldn't be possible without cloud computing.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is also why cloud computing is just an important technology in our age. Okay, thank you, Carl, for sharing that. Kirello, do you have any AWS projects that is, fun or easy to, to try out that you'd like to share?
Well, nothing that fascinating, unfortunately. Everything is just boring. We probably should mention that AWS is not just about hosting. It also has a bunch of other different tools. And for example, I was writing an article for one big blog in Russian, and I was doing that based on a video done by some guy in English, and I wanted to have the script of what he was saying, so AWS also has a service to transcribe audio file into text, and it does pretty good job for certain languages. But that's like minor tasks, and as I've mentioned, I have a pet project that I kind of want to migrate, but as we have exams here in Latvia now, it's kind of not my top priority as of moment.
Okay. Well, that is actually a very, very cool project that you shared, Carol. Yeah, that is actually a very important point that Carol just shared with us. That AWS just does not just provide hosting. AWS provides machine learning tools, AWS SageMaker, AWS Deep Racer. It simulates, racing with reinforcement learning. There's also AWS RDS, remote, data, the entirety of database managed by AWS. There's a lot of things to try out in AWS. Even Amazon Time, this Amazon Time, this account is made with AWS, connected to my account in AWS. Pak Imam, apakah ada proyek-proyek yang ingin Bapak share mengenai
Terus
yang menurut Bapak cukup wow? Maaf Pak, suaranya tidak terdengar.
In Indonesian or English?
Indonesia saja tidak apa-apa Pak.
Oke. Jadi yang sekarang kita sediakan di Prosa itu kan misalnya Speech API. Speech API itu kita tadi udah disebutkan di siapa sama Kal. Layanan misalnya dari voice to text. Jadi orang ngirim suara, ntar langsung ditransliterasi kalimatnya gitu, atau automatic sound recognition istilahnya. Tapi yang menarik kita implement sebagai API. Jadi kita nyediain API, kemudian user yang ingin mengakses diautentikasi lewat API gateway, kemudian itu diimplement menggunakan serverless juga untuk autentikasinya. Terus modelnya di belakang juga ada beragam, API-nya juga bisa nembak termasuk nembaknya juga ke GCP juga sih, jadi implementasinya multi provider sama multi on-premise juga ada yang nembak ke yang server yang di kantor. Nah, itu menarik karena ya banyak fitur dari cloud yang dimanfaatin, ada serverless-nya, kemudian ada API gateway, kemudian ada S3 storage juga, ada apa yang Redis itu di AWS namanya apa?
Redis.
Buat memory case lah, main store, saya lupa.
Bucket.
Main case sejenis itu. Ya itu sih yang menarik karena ya gimana caranya implement solusi yang cost-nya murah gitu. Ya kira-kira itu.
Terima kasih Pak Imam. Memang jadi itu speech to text ya Pak?
Speech to text, text to speech, terus juga chatbot. Ya kan beragam ya itu ya kerjaannya dosen-dosen yang di lab gaib. Sekarang Vision juga karena lagi COVID ramai soal video analytics, itu juga challenge-nya gede karena video itu traffic-nya kan luar biasa ya kalau streaming memang jadi ujungnya untuk ngindarin traffic jadi terpaksa on-premise gitu, tapi ada juga yang deploy-nya di cloud.
Ya benar sekali. Terima kasih Bapak. Oke. Edward. All right, of course, the most important question. Why should any of you that are joining this seminar join Garuda Cloud Community? Well, of course, aside from the things that we just explained, yes, just now, it is a community of a community of people who are willing to learn about cloud. We are a community. We will help each other. Kita akan bantu-bantu kalian. Kita akan membantu kalau misalnya kalian ada yang kebingungan, kalau misalnya kalian ada yang merasa bahwa resources untuk belajar teknologi cloud di kampus kalian atau di tempat kalian itu merasa kayaknya kurang. Garuda Cloud Community akan selalu siap untuk membantu salah satunya ya. Edward, nah tentu saja yang pertama ini ya, kalau misalnya salah satu hal yang paling umum itu adalah bagaimana apa saja benefit yang kita dapatkan kalau misalnya kita join cloud community in general. Kita belum mengomongkan tentang Garuda, tapi kita membicarakan tentang cloud community in general. Tentu saja kalau misalnya Garuda atau Garuda Cloud Community, karena ini akan adalah menjadi suatu organisasi yang karena saya kan sebagai student ambassador-nya AWS dan saya akan mencoba sebisa mungkin untuk menyupport effort dari komunitas ini dan akan selalu mencoba sekeras mungkin untuk supaya bisa meminta bantuan dari AWS kalau misalnya kita butuh sesuatu. Tapi sebelumnya kita coba aja explore apa sebenarnya benefit kalau misalnya kita join suatu community di cloud. Mungkin kita tanya dulu ke Carl atau Kirello. So Kirello, you did mention that you help organize one of Carl, sorry. Carl, you did mention that you helped organize a cloud community in your local town. Do you feel that you gain any benefits from joining this cloud community?
Yeah. So I work for a consultancy firm, and our cloud community it consists of both students and working professionals, and we try to arrange meetups, or prior to COVID, we try to arrange meetings about once per month. And we've gained a huge network of people that know each other and know often what others are specialized in. So if you're stuck on something, you usually have someone that you can contact, and most people are super helpful. So I'm glad to help. So we have a huge network now of people that we know that know different cloud technologies and have experience in different things. So a cloud community or a community in general are always a great idea for a lot of people.
Yeah, that is a great point, because this community will definitely involve a lot of since this is a very nationwide community, karena ini komunitasnya nanti akan menjadi sangat nasional. Jadi kami saya akan mengekspektasikan bahwa komunitas ini nanti akan nge-involve student-student yang memang sudah berpengalaman di cloud computing, dan dengan di-involve-nya orang-orang yang sudah berpengalaman, student-student yang sering menggunakan cloud teknologi ini diharapkan nanti akan saling memperkuat antara student kalau misalnya dia membutuhkan bantuan di cloud computing dalam suatu aspek nanti bisa saling membantu. Jadi networking-nya pasti sangat terbantu dengan adanya cloud community. Kirello, are you a part of cloud community? Your local.
Well, I guess we are yet to form some kind of cloud community in my hometown. It's actually a small town, so we don't have really specific communities that target some really specific questions. But yeah, why not? I think I can start one later.
Yep, definitely you should start one, and we should do a collab later maybe. Your community and my community.
Yeah, why not? Let's see.
That will be great. Ya, jadi itu guys, salah satu yang bisa didapatkan. Misalnya kalau misalnya ada ambassador lain yang membuat komunitas juga, nanti networking kalian juga pasti akan jauh terexpand. Edward? Oke, jadi sekarang karena kita waktunya juga sudah semakin malam, kita akan mulai membahas sebenarnya Garuda Cloud Community itu nanti akan seperti apa. Jadi goal-goal yang sudah dideskripsikan itu ya sesuai dengan
The spread of cloud can lead to all the tech students of Indonesia.
right. That is one of our goals is to spearhead the spread of cloud knowledge to all tech students of Indonesia. Now, why do I separate these two points? Spearhead the spread of cloud knowledge to all tech students of Indonesia and increase awareness of cloud technology across all students of Indonesia. So, of course, we have different backgrounds in programming and cloud computing, and of course, about software development. And it is no secret that people with background in tech and background in cloud computing and programming will definitely, I would say, grasp the concept a bit faster, a bit, it's gonna be easier for them to, to learn these familiar concepts. Just as Carolo mentioned, that programming knowledge does help you understand better about cloud computing. But we don't want to leave all those who are excited about the cloud but don't have technical background. We will definitely help you, of course. We will definitely give you, starter knowledge, introductions, and all stuff like that. Of course, the second point mainly is about increasing the awareness, because here's one of the things that I found quite surprising is I once met a student from a university, from a campus. I will not mention the name of the campus, but the concept of cloud computing is very alien, and it is just quite, I would quite sad that cloud computing could be so alien to them that they just cannot comprehend what it is or imagine it. So the goal of the second point is just to increase the awareness, to let people know, these are cloud computing infrastructures. This is cloud computing. These applications run on cloud computing. Just the general knowledge, just surface level knowledge, about cloud computing. So I want this community to be able to spread the knowledge, the awareness of, cloud computing to students in general. Because these students will be leaders, will be the future, will be the people who are leading, will be the people who are become senior members in a company, and they need to be aware of this. They need to be aware of this growing new technology. And of course, our third goal is preparation for careers involving the cloud. Well, I think this answered for itself. Careers involving the cloud pays a lot of money. There's no denying that it is a very lucrative career. And if you are thinking about starting a career in the cloud, then you are definitely. Now, these are some of the benefits that I have mentioned. I think I've already talked about the first and second, third point as well. And the fourth is also about signing up to AWS Educate. Now, here's the thing. It is so you can technically register to sign up to, you can sign up to AWS Educate right now, but signing up through the cloud community and with me as AWS Educate Student Ambassador, helping you with it, I can contact Roland, the people in charge of the AWS Educate program, and actually make the process a lot faster for you. And it will be a very, you won't have to wait. Perhaps you will wait a couple of days, but it will not be, I've heard of people who signed up and waited for a couple of weeks. But, with me as the ambassador, I will try my best to get you signed up for AWS Educate as fast as possible. Now, of course, if we are going to join, if we are going to make this cloud community, we have to have something, some objectives or a metric.
Cloud technology across all the students of Indonesia. So together.
To measure our performance. Of course, one of the metrics is, of course, non-tech students introduced to cloud. So this is connected to our second goal. We are targeting at least 5 per month, just 5, just baby steps, just little steps to to increase the awareness of cloud computing. Of course, this is just a guideline. We will definitely expand more, to make people aware about cloud computing. It doesn't have to be a deep knowledge. Just let them know that there is such a thing called cloud computing. I also want to, right, the second point is connected to the first one. For the third metric, this is actually connected to, okay, as a student ambassador, I am also have been contacted by Jillian Canning of AWS, from AWS Startups, that startups that are very, very healthy and very, very ideal to AWS will be helped by AWS, and they will receive a lot of help from AWS. Carl, can you mention some of the benefits that you get by benefits for the startups if they get recommended to AWS?
Sure. I haven't looked too much into it. I haven't worked too much with startups, to be fair. But through the AWS startup program, from what I remember, you get a bunch of things. You get $1,000 in AWS credits, just straight up $1,000 that you can use towards your AWS services, which, depending on what you're doing and how you're building things, it can go a long way.
Definitely.
You also get AWS support credits, which are worth their weight in gold. AWS has a lot of staff that are able to reach out. You can reach out to them, ask them for technical help, either using architects to design a solution in AWS or to bug fix things. But you get more credits that you can use towards just that. And you also get access, or the startup team will continue to follow up and reach out and help you if you're interested in it.
Right. Yeah, so there's definitely a lot of benefits that you can get. It's not, this cloud community is not something that is just for us cloud community members. We want to help everyone. And of course, the startups gathered, it does not have to be external members of the cloud community. If you are a cloud community member, then if you have a startup, then we will try our best to recommend it to the startups team. And you will get those credits. And of course, I want more people to sign up for AWS Educate, because people signing up to AWS Educate just means that a lot of people are excited to learn about the cloud.
Oh, sorry.
All right. These are just some more metrics. So I think this is related to my task as a student ambassador, and observe the completion of the success of AWS Educate. We will try our best to help you cloud community members, and also people outside from our community to complete the career pathways. So what are the career pathways? So if you signed up for AWS Educate, you will be given certain career pathways. And these career pathways basically are courses that will give you a badge, upon completion. And these completion gives you like a sign that you are learned in the field of, for example, there's a badge for startups, I think, or maybe web development. And if you complete that career pathway, you will get a badge that you can show off to your employer. So it is as if you can show it that you are experienced with AWS. The sixth one is, of course, if we are going to be doing a lot of seminars. We are going to be doing a lot of seminars to a lot of universities and other schools. And, you know, I don't want the seminar to be just empty. We want, you know, it is our job to make our seminar to be more engaging and to be more educate, you know, to be more interesting, you know, just very engaging and inviting, and it should be inviting people to delve deeper into the cloud. So, you know, there will be questionnaires, and hopefully that a lot of people will join after seminars that we hold. Of course, lastly, we have professor cooperation. Well, hopefully Mr. Imam would cooperate. Of course, we can talk after this about this, Mr. Imam. That's very much okay.
At least 2 is not difficult, I think. It can get more than that.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So these are our plans for the future of cloud compute, cloud community. I have contacted a representative from STAN. Kalian pada tahu kan ya STAN, Sekolah Tinggi Akuntansi Negara. Itu ya anggota, maksudnya student-studentnya sangat-sangat non teknis ya, sangat-sangat non teknis. Jadi menurut saya itu adalah opportunity yang sangat menarik untuk kita bisa tidak ya mengenalkan cloud computing in such a very special way supaya mereka itu bisa understand bahwa cloud itu exist. Itu bakal jadi challenge, but you know, we'll try our best. Hackathons, of course. I have heard in previous seminar that Craig Dixon, one of the student ambassador leads, said that we will, as an ambassador, we will be provided with, like prizes such as credits or maybe limited edition items that we can give out after competitions. So we don't want to just let people know. We want to also cultivate the brightest mind in cloud computing. Of course, university outreach. We want this to not be just an ITB community. We want everyone to know. We want everyone to know, to be a part of this community, and to understand cloud computing better. One of the things that I have not seen from a lot of people is, reaching out to schools. A lot of schools, especially vocational schools kayak SMK itu menurut saya adalah salah satu lahan yang belum kita kerjakan menurut saya. Karena SMK itu juga mereka mungkin mengerti tentang konsep hosting dan lain sebagainya, tetapi untuk mengenalkan mereka ke cloud computing dan memfamiliarkan mereka dengan cloud computing, menurut saya itu adalah salah satu hal yang kita juga harus fokuskan. Of course, included with the seminars, we'll also try to organize workshops. Now, the workshops that we are planning, it's not just going to be about workshop where you just try out some project and then be done with it. I will try to find projects. We, the cloud community, will try the best to find projects that are easy to follow, and will grant results that are, flexworthy. Just projects that will make you proud when you finish it. Of course, we will try to also become tech incubators. I'm sure that because we are oriented, we are focused to learning stuff about the cloud. Hopefully that we can get some of our members certified and maybe help people consult people with their technical issues. Lastly, it's more like just one of the goals. I guess it's low priority for now. It's to adopt it to our universities, our campus
students. Okay, next.
This is just a couple details about the STAN seminar. Seminar STAN. It will most likely be conducted mid to end of July. Speakers will be ITB professors. Saya sudah kontak ke Pak Imam waktu itu sempat kontak. ke Pak Imam untuk menjadi speaker dan sepertinya beliau sudah setuju. Mungkin nanti kita bisa lanjutkan. Garuda members as well, people who are familiar with the knowledge, AWS experts, hopefully. There's also an issue about Stan, regarding student accounts. Students sometimes, from the people that I have talked to, there are students who don't have accounts related, institutional accounts like .edu or those institutional accounts issued by their campuses. Of course, we will be trying to take care of that first. We will be getting right for the last one. We will try to issue certificates for these seminars, but this is still in just a plan for now. We will wait for more info from Roland or Craig if we can issue certificates. Of course, we will cooperate with HMF if it's possible. HMF ITB ya, bukan HMF Universitas lain. Now we're gonna be talking more details about the organization. We've done all that. All right, this is the organizational structure for our cloud community. Of course, the president, currently the president is me, and also the vice president. Mr. Vice President, please introduce yourself.
Good evening. So, my name is Edward Alexander Jaya, and I am a fourth-year student, third year, transitioning to the fourth-year student. And I was appointed by Mr. Altera to become his vice president.
Right, and he will be handling a lot of the day-to-day responsibilities with me as we organize cloud community. There's also a lot of divisions that we are going to have. We will get to that in detail. Just skip 2 slides ahead, Edward. Go
Okay.
to the description of the community
Okay.
divisions.
Next slide.
Yeah, just 2 slides. Next slide.
Next slide again.
All right. So these are our divisions. There's Garuda Commanders, Garuda Gurus, Garuda Evangelists, Garuda R&D, and of course Garuda Rangers. This last one should be Garuda Explorers. I don't know. You will, if you are a part of the cloud community, you can choose a better name. I just thought of it in a very quick way. I didn't spend a lot of time thinking about the names. You can think about it when you're part of the community later, of course. Next slide, Edward. Now, if you choose to be a Garuda commander, then you will be the community's edge, the sharpest, most knowledgeable students in cloud technology, and you will be the person who will, well, I would say the go-to guy, the person that we will rely upon if there's a very serious issue about, about cloud technology, and if we need serious assistance about a new technology. Of course, that is one of the responsibilities. Other responsibilities include, since we are going to be conducting some hackathons, well, we want these commanders to be able to, create the problems for the hackathons. We want you guys to be objective in creating these problems, to be able to cultivate the brightest mind in cloud computing. We want you guys to also be a part of a lot of cloud-related competitions. So, we want you guys to be to bring, well, quote unquote, glory to the community. Our current president our current leader for Garuda Commanders is my friend Aditya Putra Santosa. He's in the chat right now, but I don't think he wants to speak. And also, technically, he's the leader of the Deep Racer team. We will try to send out Deep Racer teams to just research about Deep Racer and see if we can win one of the leagues. I don't know, Carl, have you tried Deep Racer leagues? Carl? I don't think Carl is still here.
Okay.
Okay. Kirillo, have you tried Deep Racer?
No.
Oh, okay. I heard it's a it's a pretty fun thing to try out, and we should just I say people should try out, should have try out for this position so they can test out the reinforcement learning racing thing. Of course, the next one is Garuda Gurus. These are basically the education arm, the education part of the cloud community. Since Garuda Cloud Community is about educating people in the technology of the cloud, we want the Garuda Gurus to be educate champions. We want you guys to be the people who are helpful, who teach other people, who motivate other people to be to want to learn more about the cloud, and to also find interesting new ways to teach people about the cloud. This is a very challenging position. I no doubt will give you that. However, you will also interact with a lot of educate staff, because I think it's one of the things that is promoted as a student ambassador, that student ambassadors get access to AWS staffs. I will try my best to get you guys as well to be able to interact with AWS staffs. That will be one of my missions. But the gurus are responsible in trying out people, trying to make people understand the cloud in a better way. And also, you will definitely be the star of our seminars. If we are starting a seminar, I want you guys, the gurus, to be standing with me, standing next to me, and helping me spread the word of cloud. I want you to just help me with spreading the knowledge of the cloud. Evangelists, I feel like AWS has their own evangelists. I don't know. I wouldn't say that I stole this, but I am inspired by them to name our these division the evangelists. They are responsible to be the social media division. They will spread the word of cloud. When our cloud community conducts events, and just done a lot of things related to seminars or workshops. I want you guys to be the people who document these events and maintain the internet presence of our community. You will be given handles to our social media, which will be created, and you will be the people who are choosing the right words or figuring out the right way to send out the word of cloud. And of course, there's also the R&D division. These people will be responsible to. These people will be responsible in development of Garuda, maybe projects inside Garuda, or maybe projects outside of the Garuda. Maybe maybe we will grow, we will expand a little bit, and we will get students who are experts in the cloud, and maybe some days we can actually offer our services for people who want some cloud advice for us. And we want people in this R&D division to be able to help them, to be able to offer advices, to offer the best solution in terms of cloud computing, and just be very helpful to a lot of people. The R&D division is also responsible in researching and just finding out projects that are easy to be tested out in workshops or seminars. We want people to get hands-on experience when they join our seminar or workshops. So we want people to be able to practice their knowledge, just not in theory. We heard a lot from Mr. Mom himself, Mr. Carl, and also Kirello, that cloud computing is not something that you can only understand from a theoretical point of view. It needs to be practiced. It needs to be, you need to get a lot of hands-on experience with it. So we want you guys who will join the R&D to find out the best way to promote, to find projects that new people to the cloud can try out. Of course, to maintain our sustainability, to maintain our growth, we need people who are I wouldn't say extroverted, but they are very interactive with a lot of people, just very very easy in interacting with people. These people will be people who are responsible in seeking out opportunities. So a lot of campuses have events where they are talking about technology, about Industrial Revolution 4.0. But sometimes I feel like the cloud aspect of those events are not explored in great depth. So I want these Garuda Rangers to find those opportunities where we could spread the word of cloud. They will also be responsible to look up for students who are potential talents, who are really excited, who are thirsty for the knowledge of the cloud. We will want them as well. And also, we want you guys to advertise, not just AWS, but like AWS and AWS, GCP, Azure, just cloud computing in general. All right, I think we've reached the end of the session. I wonder if Carl is still here.
I am. Yeah, sorry.
Oh,
I had to step away for a second, take a phone call. My apologies.
That's okay, Carl. All right, so we still have a couple minutes, and if you have any questions, please do ask. If you ask them in the chat, Edward, would you please pick out the questions?
Okay, excuse me.
Or wait, no, you don't have to. Just keep sharing. I'll read the questions.
Sorry, what?
Just keep the presentation up. That's okay.
Oh, sorry.
Just keep it in full screen.
Okay.
I feel like this is a very good question for you, Carl. There's a very good question. So this is a question from Joshua. He's quite concerned about the lock-in of a cloud provider. It is possible to do everything in a cloud agnostic way, but there are a lot of advanced features that are specific to a certain cloud provider. What do you guys think about these risks of cloud?
Right. Cloud lock-in is definitely a thing to be concerned about. And it's something you need to think about when you're designing your software. I have an example of this. Norway's largest bank moved a couple of years ago. I can't remember how long ago, but they moved a couple of years ago, completely to AWS. They're using Azure Active Directory for some things, for authentication, but all their processing of everything that isn't directly financial transactions are not done in AWS because how Norway's banking system and stuff. But they were very, very concerned about lock-in. They built their bank as much as possible in a cloud agnostic way. They did this using infrastructure as code, using a non-native language. So AWS has a programming language or infrastructure language that's called CloudFormation that allows you to do everything you can click to create a server in the cloud. You can do this using code. It makes it very easy to repeat an infrastructure. It makes it very, very efficient for developers, and it's a very DevOpsy way of doing things. But if you use the native features of AWS, this makes it very hard. Because if you write something in CloudFormation, you can't take that script and move it to Azure. And they wanted the ability to do that if they, for some reason, decide that Azure is better or Google Cloud. So all their code is written in something called Terraform. If you haven't heard about it and you're looking into cloud, it's worth looking into. It's a cloud. It's a cloud independent language that allows you to provision infrastructure across across clouds. There are still some things you would need to change. You would need to change some things like the names of servers and names of some things, but it makes it much easier to move from one to another. They're also not utilizing a lot of features that are just available in AWS. So AWS has DynamoDB, which is a NoSQL database, but it is only AWS specific.
Right.
So they're not utilizing that. They've built it using standard open source or other database software that is available in the clouds. So it is absolutely possible to make it easier to move from one cloud to another. But it does require planning, and it requires you to do a bit of work to make the foundation solid, so that you can at some points move.
Right. That is something that you will need to. Yeah, I mean, if you are about to start out to be a cloud native business, or like websites, or an infrastructure that is very cloud native, you have to think a lot of about what your business actually needs, and just weigh out the all the important stuff related to all the providers. All right, thank you, Carl. That is a very good question. Thank you, Joshua. I think we'll have some time for 2 more questions.
Any questions?
Or maybe you have a question, Edward.
No.
No, okay. Okay. That's okay. Kalau Pak Imam sebenarnya kalau misalnya pada saat pengembangan prosa AI itu bagaimana proses pertimbangannya tentang layanan-layanan yang digunakan untuk memenuhi kebutuhan bisnis prosa AI?
Ya, prosa kan startup juga ya, jadi kita punya kredit dari AWS, terus kemudian dapat kredit dari Google Cloud, dapat kredit dari Azure. Ya, makanya kita pindah-pindah nyoba semuanya gitu. Nah, dan menarik karena kita punya service di AWS misalnya, kemudian kreditnya mau habis kita pindahin ke Azure, mau habis kita pindahin ke Google Cloud gitu. Nah, dari sini memang kelihatan sih ya masalahnya ketika kita memang enak ketika di AWS ada API Gateway misalnya. Di Microsoft dia punya sejenis itu, namanya saya lupa. Di Google dia baru beli APG, tapi ya beda jauh gitu, maksudnya sama aja kita mendesain ulang aplikasi. Nah, setelah itu baru dicari solusi yang open source apa nih, ternyata ada beberapa gitu solusinya, misalnya pakai Kong atau pakai, saya lupa ada satu lagi. Akhirnya ya memang setiap kita mengembangkan aplikasi baru, kita ngelihat juga ini fiturnya spesifik vendor nggak? Karena kalau sekedar misalnya serverless, AWS dia support beberapa bahasa gitu, di Azure ada beberapa yang tidak, itu masih oke lah, jadi mungkin penyesuaian dikit gitu. Tapi kalau serverless biasanya defaultnya Python di semua ini support, atau JavaScript juga support. Ya ada ininya sih, maksudnya perlu ada effort di kita pada saat develop. Kita jangan berpikir bahwa kita akan dengan satu vendor itu seumur hidup gitu. Jadi mesti mendesain yang mempertimbangkan aspek portability atau tidak login tadi.
Iya.
Ini di sini.
Terima kasih Pak Imam. Kirello, since you are originally a standard hosting expert, do you find it something to worry about, this lock-in issue?
Well, again, it depends on design, I guess. Anyway, you can build just a very simple application that will use one EC2 instance and one database, and there's definitely nothing to worry about in that case. But the more you involve some specific features, the more you get locked in. But I guess Carl explained much better than I can do on some specific examples. So it really depends on the architecture.
Right.
And anyway, moving any kind of large-scale application is not an easy issue. That takes a bunch of pain and blood from the ones who deploy it. So, yeah, choosing provider should be wise, but generally, all three major players in cloud services, they are much similar in both terms of services and prices.
Yeah, you're 100% right.
I think it is very important, right? Do you want to add something, Carl? No?
You know, I was just going to say that, yeah, there is definitely an option of lock-in here. It depends on how much money you're willing to spend. Because designing an application to be cloud independent will most likely be much more expensive than designing it natively for the cloud you're going to use to begin with. You have to do a cost benefit analysis. If it's going to cost you X amount of money to run it in AWS over 10 years, what is natively, what is it going to cost you to re-architect this in Azure? If in 10 years you realize, no, we want to move. So you need to run a cost benefit analysis if it's worth it, because running things natively are in most cases much cheaper than running it on open source and designing everything yourself on EC2 instances.
Right. Thank you. All right. Okay. Are there any more questions? I don't think so. Okay, so I think we have reached the end of our session today. Okay, I think we will definitely email you the certificate for helping us do this event. Carl and Carello, thank you so much for being here and just helping me with this entire event, and enlightening us about the knowledge of cloud and AWS, of course. And I would also like to thank Mr. Imam. Thank you so much for educating me, of course, in cloud technology and distributed systems, and also for being a speaker. Would you like to say a couple words, Mr. Imam, before finishing?
Okay, thank you for arranging this event. So hopefully many more students will be exposed and learn cloud.
All right, thank you. Carl, do you have any last
No, I'd just like to say thank you for inviting me. It was a really interesting and fun discussion. If you guys ever need help or need tips on things related to AWS or cloud, feel free to hit me up, either on LinkedIn or Twitter or whatever.
All right.
I'd be happy to help.
Oh, Edward, we haven't from. Oh, okay. Right. We'll do that later. Carollo, do you have any last remarks before we end this session?
Well, I just want to say thank you for inviting me and wish you good luck in your journey to learning the cloud.
Okay. Edward, are you still there?
Yes.
Can you present? I think in the last slide we have some info about Carl and Carello's social media and also my social media.
Oh, okay.
Connect with us. We have LinkedIn profiles. I have a LinkedIn profile. Carl has a LinkedIn profile. There we go. There we go. If you want to connect with us, there's definitely those are our social media handles. Just if you have any questions or anything, you can definitely contact me. Or if you have any specific questions about the cloud, you can definitely contact Carl. If you have any questions about standard hosting and how it's just so different about cloud and standard hosting, you can contact Carolo on Facebook. Definitely. All right, I think that basically sums up the entire event. Thank you so much for everyone who managed to attend, and thank you so much for Carl and Carrillo. Thank you so much for Mr. Imam for just the words and just helping us discuss more about the cloud. All right, we'll see you in our next. We'll hopefully see you in our next meetup of our cloud community. Thank you.